Priyanka Chaturvedi.
Before time I complete.
Thank you so much, Honorable Sir. So firstly, to get this out of the way, the Appropriation No.2 Bill 2022 and No.3 Bill 2022, I stand to oppose it. Now that I have that out of the way, sir, एक कवि धूमिल हैं, उनकी दो पंक्तियों से शुरू करना चाहूंगी। लोहे का स्वाद लोहार से मत पूछो, उस घोड़े से पूछो जिसके मुंह में लगाम है। सर, जिस तरीके से जो बजट आए जा रहे हैं उस पे विकास को लगाम लगा दिया है, प्रजातंत्र को लगाम लगा चुके हैं सरकार ने, बजट के अलावा संविधान का लगाम लगाया हुआ है, रोजगार पे लगाम लगाया हुआ है। तो मैं कुछ हेडलाइंस पढ़ना चाहती हूँ पिछले 2 महीने से, उसी से समझ में आ जाएगा कि क्या स्वाद है लोहे का। EPFO interest rate slashed to 8.1%, lowest in 4 decades. MSME suffers most during COVID lockdown. Public sector banks have MSME NPA of rupees 1,37,087 crores. Rupee sinks 109 paise worst in Asia. ये मैं अपना मन के नहीं बोल रही हूँ, मैं तो बस headline पढ़ रही हूँ. Industrial growth fell to 10-month low at 0.4% in December. Income of poorest fifth plunged 53% in 5 years. Those at the top surged by over 40%. Amid bilateral chill, India-China trade marks record surge in 2021. 60% saw income halve in 2 years of pandemic. Joblessness rate in double digits between April to June 2021. Joblessness rate in youths jumped to 26% in financial year 2022 quarter 1. Women 31% worse off than men at 24%. States showing high unemployment rate. जम्मू एंड कश्मीर की बहुत बात होती है, उनके साथ किस तरीके का दुर्व्यवहार हो रहा है। लगाम नफरत पे लगानी चाहिए, पर लगाम आपने रोजगार पे लगाए हुए हैं। जम्मू एंड कश्मीर at 46.3%, sir. Madhya Pradesh at 31.4%, sir. Uttarakhand at 36.6%, sir. Uttar Pradesh at 24.7%, sir. ये पिछले 2 महीने के हेडलाइंस हैं, उसी से आपको समझ में आ जाएगा अप्रोप्रिएशन है, मिस अप्रोप्रिएशन है, क्या है। मैं इस पे ज़्यादा नहीं जाना चाहूँगी। मैं आपको सब दे दूंगी, सोर्स के साथ दे दूंगी, आप टेंशन मत लीजिएगा। शायद आप अखबार नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं आजकल। I will give you all the sources, sir.
Just a minute. Miss up. Yes, yes. इसको मैं चेक करा लूँ। नहीं प्लीज sit down. नहीं प्लीज आप दिया जी, अगर ऐसा होगा तो हम चेक करा लें। अजय उसे करा लें।
सर मैं सब ऑथेंटिकेट कर दूंगी। NSO के सर्वे है सर, NSO का सर्वे, उसको भी डिनाई कर देंगे।
तो मैं चेक करा अगर कुछ अनपार्लियामेंट्री होगा तो उसको चेक करा लेते हैं। प्लीज यू कैन।
आधे से ज्यादा समय झूठ बोलते रहते हो, तो ऑथेंटिकेट हम करें।
प्लीज सब्जेक्ट पर बोलिए, प्लीज आप प्लीज। हाँ प्लीज प्लीज यू कंटिन्यू। माननीय मंत्री जी, नहीं प्लीज माननीय मंत्री।
मैम also gets distracted many times.
मंत्री जी,
So I just want to be sure.
प्लीज यू, हाँ प्लीज मंत्री, हाँ यू सेड।
I just want to be sure if I've heard this right. It is the appropriation bill which has come here. And in its reference, if I've heard a right, honorable member, misappropriation is an inappropriate word to use. If it was used for this, I'd like to draw her attention, honorable member's attention, and if it was used in this context, an appropriation bill comes for discussion and all of us do discuss it. But if that word misappropriation is used in the context of appropriation bill, I'm sorry, it's right, it's not wrong to use it here, because particularly in terms of the appropriation bill which has come in terms of the excess demand for grants, is based on the PAC's recommendation. And we are taking the PAC's recommendation and therefore coming up with a appropriation bill for the excess demand for grants. So word misappropriation.
ठीक है, उसको एग्जामिन करेगा, अगर होगा तो उसको निकाल दिया जाए कार्रवाई से।
बस सर, मुझे नहीं पता था मिसअप्रोप्रिएशन एक अनपार्लियामेंट्री वर्ड है, हो सकता है आप आ गया हो सकता है। No, did I say it's in that context? I'm sorry, ma'am, I did not say it in that context.
You continue.
I am very surprised. मैं अगली बार कहूँगी मिसकैलकुलेशन है तो उस पर भी अनपार्लियामेंट्री लैंग्वेज हो जाएगा। तो विपक्ष किस बात के लिए हम?
नो नो
अगर नहीं, आप
अगर
आप
कुछ
मुझे
भी
बताइए,
अनपार्लियामेंट्री,
आप
अगर कुछ भी अनपार्लियामेंट्री होगा तो उसको कार्रवाई से निकाल दीजिए। अगर है अनपार्लियामेंट्री है तो उसको कार्रवाई से निकाल दीजिए। प्लीज यू कंटिन्यू नाउ।
आपका मुंह में
Anti-constitution is wrong. हाँ, लगाओ रहे आप हमारे मुंह पे ही अब।
Sir, I asked a question.
मंत्री जी,
I
If it was
answered
used in the context
I'm
of
allowing Mr.
appropriation
Please, you sit
bill,
down.
which has come in
Please.
response to the PACs, I asked a question. I appreciate if the honorable member can just explain if she had used it in the context of the appropriation bill, which is in response to the PAC. And if it's not used in that context, I have no answers to give, I have no questions to ask, well within the rights of the opposition party to criticize the government. But to use the word misappropriation in the context of an appropriation bill, is it right or wrong? Was it used in that context or not, is what I've asked for.
please.
So,
Yeah.
without any further interruption.
With
And I will answer to you, I will answer. Misappropriation of the way policies are handled in this country was right and pretty obvious by all the headlines I have shared. And I don't think it is unparliamentary and I don't think it is so objectionable for anyone to make objection to the fact. Now, sir, I don't want to waste my time, nor would I want to waste Honorable Minister's time. She has very important things to do.
Rule 235.
Wow, sir, what is this?
Where is the rule book? Where is the rule book?
A member shall not read any
Book, newspaper or letter except in, can I finish? Please, come on.
Jayaji, please,
Except,
please, I am allowing. No,
this is not
please, Jayaji, मैंने हमको allow किया। I have a chair and allow किया। Please, Jayaji, no. You can't interrupt. Please.
No, shall not read.
His chair. I have, मैंने allow किया हमको। Please. मैंने पढ़ सकते हैं क्यों नहीं? Please.
Yeah, shall not read any book, newspaper or letter except in connection with the business of the council. And what is being mentioned here has nothing to do with the bill that is being discussed. That is the business of the house at this point of time.
ठीक है, अगर कोई एग्जामिन करा लेंगे उसको, अगर कुछ भी गलत होगा तो कार्रवाई से निकाल दिया जाएगा। Please you continue. Please you continue.
Point of disorder.
Sir, can I say,
Please keep
can I
it.
say
Point
this?
of disorder.
Please.
Can I say
Mr.
something, sir? This disorderly conduct only goes to prove my point and all the headlines that I have quoted. And I rest my case with that, sir. Now, with regards to GST compensation to the states, there was a question answer that was discussed 2 days ago, where it was quite obvious with the way GST refunds are sent back to the states, there is a delay. Nobody is questioning the formula that has been arrived by a GST council. What we are questioning is your authority of disposal to disperse the GST refunds to the state. And Maharashtra has been repeatedly asking for its rightful due in the GST. And even now, the GST dues, as per the report that was presented on the floor of this house, is 11,563 crores, which we again dispute. There's above 22,000 crores which is due to the state of Maharashtra. I wouldn't want to go back to what other members have already spoken, but it becomes important that I raise this issue, and I raise this issue with concern as a nationalist and as much a nationalist as the other side claims to be. There has been a huge cut in the defense budget for 22-23. At a time when we are seeing a conflict rise all of a sudden between Russia and Ukraine, and disregarding the rule-based order. At this particular point in time, we are surrounded by a neighbor who does not believe in a rule-based order. And our defense budget should be working to ensure that we provide our army and our armed forces with all kinds of appropriate equipment needed for their safety and safeguarding our nation. It is unfortunate to see that there has been a cut. What really surprises me, that a party which continues to say Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we all support Atmanirbhar Bharat, we would want to see an Atmanirbhar Bharat, has a defense research spending of 0.088% in 2016-17 and 0.083% in 2020-21. And it should be a cause for worry for all of us, sir. Rising wholesale inflation. Wholesale price index rose to 13.11% year-on-year in February from 12.96% in January. It was 4.83% in February 2021. The WPI continues to be in double digits for the 11th consecutive month. And these double-digit figures should be alarming for us because it would lead to high prices that we are already burdened under. Consumer Price Index, I won't call it CPI. Consumer.
CPA पीछे बैठा है.
Yeah, I won't call it CPI.
Please, sir.
Consumer Price Index spiked to an 8-month high of 6.07%. Retail inflation rose 6.38% for rural consumers, whereas food inflation climbed by 5.85%. So, and I will continue to stick to India, not what is happening in the rest of the world, because it is the Indians at the end of the day who are suffering the consequences. I had tried to raise this in the zero hour, sir, but it wasn't permitted, but I must raise this now. Depreciating value of Indian rupee at 17.5% in the last year. It has been slumped down by over 17% in the last 5 years. It should be a cause for worry. The most important part, sir, which I think it should be a cause for concern, which I read out in the headline, and I'm sure he wouldn't ask me for source now.
Please address this.
Interest rates of EPFO have been slashed to 8.1%, lowest in 40 years. But at the same time, senior citizens who are non-government employees depend on these interest rate savings once they retire. They are facing a hard time with high inflation and low interest rates in their savings. Interest rates in small savings schemes such as Public Provident Fund, Senior Citizen Savings Scheme, National Savings Certificate have all been falling. Even the bank fixed deposit has fallen. Last but not the least, sir, I wouldn't want to touch on unemployment because it's quite a touchy topic and they ask for sources, but I must tell you the sources are NSO survey which was released just recently. I hope they don't disregard that. Now to women and children. The budget, unfortunately, did not cater to children and women either. In fact, the proportion of allocation of funds for children is the lowest in the last 10 years. It's a cause of shame. Shame. In financial year 2019-20, even for the ICDS, what was allotted has been reduced. Allocations for Poshan Abhiyan decreased by 82%, from 3,400 crores to 600 crores during the same time period. So I'll take just one last minute before I end this. Now, I just want to remind my dear friends in the treasury benches, sir, just one last minute. One last minute because it's about women.
Very important point.
BJP's manifesto in 2004, sir, 1 minute, sir, 1 minute. कितना disruption हुआ मेरे बीच
Please, you
में?
conclude.
2014 and 19 said, 2019 का quote कर रही हूँ. Women's welfare and development will be accorded a high priority at all levels within the government, and the BJP is committed to 33% reservation in Parliament and state assemblies through a constitutional amendment. चलिए आप reservation नहीं दे रहे हैं, आप welfare schemes पर तो ध्यान दे लीजिए, वो भी नहीं हो रहा है. 2014 में we promised the women voters that if the BJP forms a government at the centre, it will pass the women's reservation bill. चलिए वो भी फिर से same चीज है जो Congress led UPA नहीं कर पाया. Sir, 1 minute. Despite introduction of the legislation for representation of women in 96, 98, 99 and 2006, it continues to languish and no further action has been taken. So considering that we are 50% of India's population, not just reservation, even the welfare schemes should be adequately compensated to the women of this country. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Shri Mahesh Poddar ji.
धन्यवाद उपसभापति महोदय. महोदय, मैं अप्रोप्रिएशन बिल नंबर 2 और 3